Hello, good afternoon. This is Yilda, Children's Librarian over at the Gulfport Public Library, and this is Early Literacy Tuesday tip. Today I just want to talk about fine motor skills and the importance of your children developing fine motor skills with their hands and fingers and wrists. I talked about it briefly in a couple of videos past, one importantly with writing and helping your child in learning how to write and how to hold a pencil correctly. I've also talked about with play as well, and using Play-Doh, which helps to build their hand muscles and also develop their fine motor skills. Now, these skills that I talk about, these fine motor skills are important. They're needed because this helps your child to hold a pencil correctly, holding and being able to write with a pencil. For example, when your child starts picking up anything to write, normally when they're about 1 to 2 years of age, they're holding things this way. You know, everything is this. So they're holding things this way, which is fine. This is great. This is a start of them holding things this way. It's like a palm grip, you could say. So they're holding things this way. So that is fine. That allows them to pick up things because they don't know how you and I would pick up things with our fingers. They're still learning, so they do things this way. They're picking up things this way. And this is great because it involves with them, they're learning how to pull and how to twist. Their hands are formulating, so they're just playing around with things and using their cupping things, using like cup hands, I would call them. But this is good. At that age, it's fine. You can have some crayons, some pencils lying around just to have, so they have an idea that this is something with your supervision, of course. Make sure you are supervising your child, and your child does not take this pen and put it in their mouth or a crayon and starts chewing on it. So with your supervision, always with your supervision, have your child at least hold it. Have the idea. If you want to play with your child as they're holding it, maybe take their little wrist and just kind of do a little squiggle on the paper with their hand, even if your child is holding it this way. That's fine. That's just getting them used to understanding that, oh, if I put this thing on the paper, something happens. Like I said before, cause and effect. I do something and something happens from what I've done. So they can understand that doing this, they know that putting this on something, I can write a line or write a squiggle or something, but something happens. So it's fine. So as your child gets older, when your child's 2 or 3 years old, they're going to start holding the pencil or the crayon more. You're going to see them holding it. So their hands get more stronger, they're more coordinated, and their wrist begins to straighten out. So when they're little, they're going this way, you know, you see them doing this. And of course, children mimic their parents. They see their parents and they copy what their parents do or what the adults do. So if they see you writing, they're going to do the same thing. But when they're little, they're doing this. They're holding it and doing this. As they get older, they start holding it this way. And then their wrists, they have a little bit more control with their wrists. But they're still holding it this way. And that's fine. This is where they start developing their thumb, their index finger, their middle finger. They start developing how to make it work together. And so I recommend, if you can, use certain things at home that are they're very cheap. They're not expensive. So I have a few things here to show you what you can do with your 2 to 3 year old as far as getting their fingers develop more control, more hand-eye coordination, more focus on your child. And so these are called manipulatives. So for example, like I have something like this. These are beads. You can get a piece of yarn or pipe cleaner like I have here, or twine, whatever you have at home. And if you have these little braid beads, little beads like this, so you can find them anywhere. You don't need a large bag. A small bag will do. You can have them put the bead kind of threading, you could say. They're threading the bead through the yarn or through the stick. Through the rope or the twine. So this is helping them with hand-eye coordination, and it's also helping them with these fingers. They may start doing it this way, still doing the cupping, but as they get used to it, they're learning how to use because their first 3 fingers are the ones that we use for writing. So this is what they'll do. You have this idea that you can do at home, very cheap. Clothespins. You can take clothespins, have a box of any kind, have a bunch of clothespins, have your child pick one up and pinch the box. You might want to have numbers on the pin and numbers on the box. They can match it. So you're not only teaching them numbers, letters, colors, or shapes, or however you want to do this, but you're also helping them in developing their hands. This is another kind of manipulative that you can do at home, and it's not expensive. Now, when I was saying about, clipping onto the box, I have this, for example. It's just a regular wooden stick. You can use that. You could find them in any craft store and buy a large pack. It shouldn't be so expensive. You just write the alphabet. You write the first letter here. That will be the letter that they have to match. See, they have this clothespin with this letter. So now this clothespin with this letter, they have to find it again among all these letters. Now you can do it with all capital letters, so they can get used to capitals first. Or you can, and as your child learns the alphabet better, you can mix it up. Have capital and lowercase letters. So you can tell them, okay, let's try to find the letter A. Can you help me find, this is the letter A stick. Let's find the letter A on this letter A stick. Can you help me? Let's go find it. So they have their little clothespin, and they find the letter A, and they match the uppercase with the lowercase a. And again, they're using this. And you can try with numbers, which is what I did here. So I don't have to have a bunch of sticks. You can have one side with alphabet, one side with numbers, however you choose. And I have the clothespin with the number. Okay, this is the number 1 stick. And you have the number 1 pin. Let's find the number 1. Can you find the number 1? So they go through it. And let's match the one on the 1 stick with the pin. And then they do that. So this is something that should not cost so much money. It's very reasonable that you can do at home. I also do this at the library when I do my program with parents. And they just sit there and help their child a little bit. This just takes about 5 minutes of your time to do this. Because again, you want your child to develop their hands, develop their fingers, develop also their mind and learning. Another thing you can do with developing their fingers is, move this over here, is using something like this. Now, I just wrote the word story. You can write your child's name. So your child is learning 2 things here now. Actually, 3 things. They're learning their name. They're learning the letters that correspond in their name. And also they're helping develop their fingers. So you have this. For example, I wrote the word story. I went over it with glue. I just traced it with glue. And then you can have some beans like this. And then have your child trace their name with the beans by pasting them down onto the glue, as you see here. So here they're learning their name. They're learning the letters that correspond in their name. And they're developing their fingers and hand-eye coordination. So there's a couple of factors that are happening here at once, which is great because you're guiding your child along. You can use short crayons, short pencils. Really short, I recommend instead of the long ones, because the long ones, they'll still do this. The short one, the trick is, it's forcing them to kind of hold the pencil. See how difficult it is? I can't hold it this way and I can't write. See? So that's the whole premise, the whole idea is get them short so your child could start holding it this way and eventually this or this way, however they start. And you can also help your child as they write. You can take their hand and guide them along the way as you help them write the word story. Don't force their hand. You just want to very lightly as they hold the pencil down. Because many children as they start learning how to write, they'll be pressing really, really hard. And sometimes they end up breaking the crayon. I've seen it happen, but that's okay. You just get another one and start over again. But very lightly, you just tell them, loosen up your hand, just very lightly. I'm going to help you. And you help them write the word, write their name. So it's like this, what I do. It's just, for example, book, and then you just trace it with the glue. Another thing you can do with them is get squeeze bottles. You know, those big ketchup and mustard bottles that you see in the 99-cent store and the discount stores. You get one of those and just have water in them. Take them outside and, you know, they can just spray outside. Again, you're helping strengthening their hands. So they can take that bottle and spray just water. Have them go outside. Oh, let's help me water the plants. Let's water the plants. And you have your child helping you water the plants, but they're actually also working on their hands as they squeeze the bottle. Also, I mentioned with writing, as far as writing on walls. Again, parents, forgive me if your child starts writing on your walls. That's not my intent. But my intent is to help you develop your child and prepare them for school once they start. So that way they are not set back. This is extremely important. So these things I'm giving you is just to help you and your child to move on and move forward. Writing on walls, you can take a piece of paper, as I said the last video. If you don't have large pieces of paper, you have butcher paper. If you don't have that, you can use wrapping paper, your old Christmas wrapping paper or your birthday wrapping paper. Flip it over. Use the back side of that, which is usually white. You tape that on the wall and you have that designated space in your home for your child to write. Straight, vertical. The reason is because, again, we're trying to strengthen their wrists. So when they're writing on a paper, they're still doing this. You know, so when they're writing on the wall, it forces them to actually start working more with their hand, because you can't write like this. So it'll force them to actually continue writing this way. It helps them. It's actually a good ideal position for someone who's learning how to write, is this way, up on the wall. So just get plain paper and tape it on your wall. Have a designated space in your home, in their room, that they can have to write, to draw, to color, to be creative on that piece of paper, on that wall. So you can use that. Usually when your child is learning how to write, they start with circles. They'll start with circles. They'll start with squiggles. They'll start with lines. And this is how they start learning how to write. Now, as they're getting older, this is where, and also one more thing I forgot to mention. Another thing that's fun is they're playing, but they're also developing and learning. It's paper roll, but you can use a toilet paper roll. I just rolled up a paper because I didn't have a toilet paper roll. And you can tell your child, oh, we're going to do hair cutting today. Now remember, tell them we're going to cut paper hair, not real hair. Because then children decide to cut their own hair or someone else's hair. So you just have a bunch of toilet paper rolls, do a little design like this. Take some paper, cut it up in fringes, and then tie it on top. And then have your child with a pair of scissors just cut along the way as they learn. They're cutting hair. Again, it is hand-eye coordination. It is also concentration and learning how to hold scissors. Remember, if you're going to get scissors for your child-size scissors, blunt end. And always, always, always parental supervision. Once your child is done with these scissors, please put them away. Please put these beans away or these beads away. Everything here must be done with adult supervision. The child cannot be alone doing these things. Please, I emphasize that. So now your child is getting ready to go into preschool. Your child is a preschooler now, so they should be able to hold a pencil like this or like this, which is called a tripod, obviously. It's called a tripod. So this is where you take time to sit and practice with your child. You practice spending at least 5 minutes setting up everything, preparing everything with them, and then 7 minutes working with your child. So I would say at most 10 minutes in total. 10 minutes with your child working on something like this. Because this is a time where you practice and you can help them refine their skills, preparing them again for preschool. And that way they already know how to write once they're in school. That way, if the teacher doesn't have to take time out to teach your child how to write, your child already knows. Because remember, teachers will have 20 kids or 15 kids or 18 kids or 30 kids. They cannot take the time out to teach your child how to write. But once your child comes into school and knows how to write, that's actually a good thing. Then your child can move forward and progress. Now, if they're not holding it, once they're already in preschool and they're not holding it this way, they're still doing this, it's because they haven't taken the time out to develop what we've done here. Along with other things, I'm going to send a link. I'm going to attach a link with other ideas that you can do at home. And again, they're not expensive. It's random things you have at home that you can use with your child. But definitely, this is important, and you could do this with your child. Set time every day with your child to do this. Only 7 to 10 minutes. That's all you need. Set a routine. Remember, I talked about the last time with regards to time and the concept of time. That's something you can have for your child and say, okay, we're going to do this today. So they have a routine. You can do it every month, every day, 9 o'clock in the morning, or every day at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Whatever time works for you, try to do that as much as you can every day, because you're helping refining your child's skills. And then focus on the strategies that I've shared and make writing fun. Don't make it seem like it's a chore or a task, because again, your child will associate learning negatively if it's approached negatively. And also, your child. You know what works for your child. You know that maybe 5 minutes is enough your child needs, and then they can't take it anymore. That's fine. Do not force anything on your child. If your child doesn't want to do it at the moment, you can try it again another time, but please make sure you do this. And also do like dot-to-dot tracing. You can just do random dots and then ask your child to trace the dots. That also helps with, I might have a sheet I'll attach also for you that has like connect the dots for your child. You can use that with your child. And hand dominance usually develops by the age of 4 to 5 years of age. But also just make sure that both hands are being used in this process. I mean, again, as I said the last time with regards to writing, the hand that picks up the item to write, the writing tool, is it's going to be their dominant hand. So you don't force and switch it. If they take it with their left, then that's their dominant hand. If they take it with their right, that's their dominant hand. But, however, these things you can do, make sure both hands are being used. Because in the long run, they are going to use both hands. However, despite that one hand is a writing hand, but they will be using both hands for picking up things, for ripping paper, for anything like that. They're going to need both hands. So you can develop both of their hands. So I will be sharing some of the links online. I will share a webpage with a lot of ideas that you can do at home with your child developing their motor skills, and some other information that I have come across regarding motor skills. I will be sharing that online. I hope this tip helps you in some way in developing your child and preparing your child for preschool. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me in the comments area or call the branch. I am here at the library. We're not open for the public as of yet, but we are here. If you have any questions, please feel free to call us and ask for me. So as my message I always say to all of you is, you are your parents' first teacher, and your child will always remember all the times they've had learning and growing with you. So remember, you are your child's first teacher, and they will always remember that. So please be safe, be well, take care of yourselves and each other, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.